My father had a steadiness about him. I only ever saw him truly angry once, toward the end of my senior year of high school. We sat down to dinner one night and Xavier busted out a joint. He lit it up and tried to pass it around, first to me, when all I could do was stare wide-eyed and let my mouth fall open. He turned to my father and tried to pass it to him. "What the hell are you doing?" Dad shouted. "The girl's getting ready to graduate. I'm celebrating. What the hell else do you think I'm doing?" He took a long drag and coughed and coughed and coughed. "Good stuff," he managed to finally say. My father grabbed the joint from his fingers, smashed it into the table, and took it out of the room. The toilet flushed a moment later. My mother, who, for as long as I can remember, had always been skittish of Xavier, planted her face firmly in her palms. "For God's sake, Xavier," she said, her voice muffled by her hands, her dark hair brushing the edge of the table with the motion of her shaking head. "He sure does know how to destroy evidence." He smiled and dug into his food. The only items in the box that made sense were all the old record albums. His love of music was one of the few things that connected us. I could wrap my mind around why he left me those. The weeks leading up to my trip to Vietnam, I listened to all those old albums and bittersweet nostalgia began to overtake me. On my 13th birthday, he taught me how to dance. My friends thought he was hilarious, so I asked him to be our entertainment. "What do I get out of it?" he'd ask in one of his less lucid moments of treating me more like a stranger than a granddaughter. We pulled our funds together and gave him $40. He pulled out his old record player and all his albums, The Doors, Rolling Stones, Jefferson Airplane. We tried to partner up and dance with each other, but he wasn't having it. "Let loose, express yourself," he shouted. "Close your eyes and dance, man." He put on another album and demonstrated, his arms flailing, his legs moving. It wasn't like any dancing I'd ever seen. I tried to picture the people dancing like this at my cousin Debbie's wedding I had attended back in the spring. No way. "Aren't you going to the wedding?" I asked him that morning. "Debbie is your mother's niece," my father chimed in, saying something without saying something. Xavier eyed him and waited for him to continue, but when Dad didn't, he exploded. "I wasn't invited. Go ahead and tell her how it really is." I was, at that moment, on my 13th birthday, completely convinced it was because of his dancing. I desperately wanted the music to pull me back in time. I wanted to go back and remember the details of those years Dave lived with us, what it was like living with him, waiting in his mind unraveling. I wanted to search for clues to those secrets he kept so well hidden all those years. Clues I'm only now unearthing in the fabric of the quilt, in old faded photographs, in handwritten letters between strangers I never knew existed. From the corner of my eye, I saw the ghost of Minzy hiding in the leaves, baby strapped to her chest, long black hair sticking to her face. These narrow tributaries that flow to the Mekong hold these kind of secrets. My body twisted toward the image of the nesting box, and the nesting box fell from the fold in the quilt. I picked it up and gave it a good hard look. The care that went into carving it, the imagery of a river on each side, fishing canoes and palms. I opened the box and pulled out the next one, and the next one, and the next one. Each box told a different story, just like the mess that got me here, tracking ghosts and flinging letters into muddy waters. Deeper and deeper into the tangled mess of jungle, into a darkness and truth so dense and small it needs layers of lies.